So I'm happy to say after reading 66 books this year, there are only a very few amount of those books that I just did not enjoy. The vast majority of them I enjoyed, and there were a few that were some of my favourite books ever. But in this video, we're going to get rid of all of that positivity, and we're just going to talk about the 5 books that I enjoyed the least. I do have another video on my channel talking about the 5 top books of the year, so make sure to go and watch that after this one as well. Now, as a disclaimer, of course, book enjoyment is completely subjective, and these are just my views, and if you like the books that I did not like, that's okay. In fact, the book that is number 2 on this list, so the one that I enjoyed the second least out of all of the books, is one of the booktuber that I follow's favourite series of all time, and that's okay. And I picked 5 books that I have completed, so that it's a sort of fair assessment as to if I didn't enjoy it, but there were 2 books this year that I did not complete, and I don't necessarily think that means they're bad books. I think I just picked them up at the wrong time, but we'll talk about them first. The first of which was Discovery by J.A.J. Minton, and this was a little bit of a learning curve for me. I tried to set myself the goal of reading 1 fantasy, 1 sci-fi and 1 independent author a month. And so when it came to October, I hadn't read a independent author yet, so I looked through my list of all the books I wanted to read, and I picked up the J.J. Minton book, Discovery. But really, I didn't feel like reading a book which was based on Earth. It's based in the 80s as well, or the 70s, and I just wasn't really feeling that. And a lot of the characters were sort of like caricatures of Americans in that sort of time, and I just really wasn't feeling it at all, so I shouldn't have picked it up in the first place. But I did, and I got about 10% of the way through before I put it down, but I don't think it is necessarily a bad book, and maybe at a different point I would have read the whole thing and enjoyed it. Just at that point I really wasn't feeling it. And the second book is sort of in the same vein as well, and that is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. So this is a extremely slow-paced book, and I had just come out of reading The Assassin's Quest, which is also another slow-paced book, and I think I just needed something that was a little bit more exciting, a little bit more fast-paced. I managed to get to the end of the first volume so that it's a good place to stop, and then if I do want to come back to it in the future, maybe I will, but I wasn't really getting that into it. I didn't really care that much about a lot of what was going on. And I feel like when it's slow-paced like Robin Hobb, the story is still progressing, it's just in a slower pace than other books, whereas in this book there seem to be completely different tangents for like a whole chapter talking about if they should create an article in a newspaper where there's interesting plots like why is magic no longer in London and stuff like that. So there was a bit of it just talking a lot about the bits I don't care about and not enough about the bits I do care about. So now we got the books I did not finish out the way, let's jump into the 5 books that I finished but liked the least this year. Number 5 is Upgrade by Blake Crouch. Now this one is interesting to be on this list because if you go ahead and look at my favourite books of the year, his book Dark Matter is mentioned in that video as well. So Blake Crouch has managed to get on my favourite reads and on my least favourite reads videos. I read Dark Matter first and really enjoyed it, so I sort of went into this expecting more than what I got. I think across both of the books his characters weren't really that engaging, and in Dark Matter it didn't really matter to me because the plot was so intriguing and it was so fast paced and it was just go go go, whereas this one you focused a bit more on the characters and saw a bit more how weak he is at writing characters in my opinion. So I didn't really care about anyone in this story, and then the idea behind the story was less intriguing to me than in Dark Matter, and the pacing wasn't quite what I was expecting. So there were a lot of reasons that went into me not enjoying this as much. The idea behind the story is that you can alter genetics to make humans better, which could be quite an interesting story. It just didn't hit for me. Number 4 on this list is Sojourn by R.A. Salvador. This was book 3 in the Dark Elf trilogy, which is set in the same world as Dungeons & Dragons Forgotten Realms, and I really enjoyed the first 2 books, and this third one just did not hit for me at all. I think one of the reasons I enjoyed the first 2 books was because of the environment of the Underdark and this really malicious and evil culture that he was having to deal with. But then in the third book he manages to get to the surface world, and a lot of the characters, the side characters that are introduced, I felt like were just your stereotypical X. So for example, there's a dwarf that comes in and there's just your stereotypical angry dwarf. There's an elf that comes in and there's just just your stereotypical wise nature-loving elf, and there wasn't really much depth to any of the characters. And then there's like a bad guy that's built up, but he's not really that difficult to deal with in the end, and there was just a lot that made me not enjoy it as much as the first two, where I found there was a lot of depth in the story and the characters in the first two, and then the third one was just completely different. I know there's a lot more books in the Legend of Drizzt storyline. I think there's like 21 or something like that, and it's not completely killed it for me so that I will never go back in, but it just made me not want to immediately jump back into that world. Number 3 for me was Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. Now, I feel a bit bad putting this one in because I do feel like I am partly to blame for this, but I picked this up completely blind just because I heard another booktuber say that it was enjoyable and that they liked it, and I knew nothing about it, and then I went through and read it, and really on paper it wasn't going to be a book that I was going to enjoy. It's got a fairy godmother, and there's like a swamp witch, and it's a little bit whimsy but with dark themes underlying it, and this is just another one where the main characters that you are spending time with I didn't really care about at all. And I think this is a rare occasion in the fantasy world where I actually think that the book might have been too short to really get you to care about the plot and get you to care about the characters. I do wonder if there was an extra 200 pages, let's say, in this book, if maybe it would have drawn me in a little bit more, but because it was quite short and quite concise but still trying to get across this unique world and this theme and this plot, it didn't really hit for me. But if that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead and give it a go. By no means was it written badly or anything like that. It just really wasn't a type of story that I was going to enjoy. Now, as we're going into my 2 least favourite books of the year, I just wanted to say that the 3 books I've just mentioned, I didn't completely not like at all. But then these 2 books I'm about to go into, there was very little, if anything, that I liked about them. These next 2 are a complete flop for me, whereas these 3, maybe on a different day, maybe in a different part of my reading journey, I would have felt differently about them. But yeah, these 2 I just didn't like at all. So coming in at number 2 is The Gunslinger by Stephen King. Now, I do understand that I think in 2023 he rewrote this, and I was reading the old version, so maybe if I read the new version it would be a bit better. But reading the old version, I just didn't get it at all. Didn't care about any of the characters in it, didn't care about the plot. The plot didn't really progress. You're in the exact same place you are at the beginning of the book till you are at the end of the book. There's some weird sex stuff thrown in for no reason, and there seems to be some weird like meta world thing going on between our world and this world that didn't really make sense in this book. Maybe if you read the rest of the series it makes a bit more sense, but it just once again ruined the immersion and got me to just not really understand or care about what was going on. So this was a complete flop to me, which was a complete surprise because I did actually read this book back when I was 18 or 17 or something like that, and I don't really remember anything from the book from back then, but remembered enjoying it, so I thought I would enjoy it again on this read through, and did not. Thought it was, well, my second worst read of the year. And now to go into my least favourite read of the year, which was The Colour of Magic by Terry Pratchett. And this one's a little bit sad for me because I really wanted to go into the Discworld and to enjoy it, but I chose to go with The Colour of Magic first, being the first one that was released, and did not really like anything about it. When I did a video about this book, I got a lot of comments saying that potentially The Colour of Magic is the worst book in the Discworld and I should try Mortal Gods or some of the other ones, which I am going to try at some point. But The Colour of Magic for me was just a really disjointed story. It almost felt more like a concept than an actual story at that point. Character just sort of came in, did something and went. There was some whimsy comedy that didn't really hit for me, and the main character was just a little bit annoying, and I didn't really want to spend time with a character that's annoying. There's no growth, there's no fun side characters, so I didn't really enjoy the experience at all. But as I said, I am going to give Discworld another try in 2026, so let me know down in the comments which book I should try, bearing in mind The Colour of Magic was a complete flop for me. So there you have it, my 5 least favourite books of the year. Now go and watch this video if you want to see what my 5 favourite books were of this year.